A 4-day work week. Would you want it? I know I would. In fact, I kind of want a 0-day work week. I'm ready to retire, to be honest. I'm ready to retire and just go to sleep and pretty much do nothing. But alas, I cannot. Let's go into this. Germany explores a 4-day work week amid labor shortage. Less work, same money, more happiness and productivity. As of February 1st, 45 companies in Germany are testing a 4-day work week. It is time for a 4-day work week. It sounds counterintuitive. While Germany, like many countries, struggle to find enough workers, dozens of companies are starting an experiment that will see employees work a day less. In February, 45 companies and organizations in Europe's largest economy will introduce a 4-day work week for half a year. Employees will continue to receive their full salary. The initiative is led by the consulting firm Intrapreneur in collaboration with the non-profit organization 4-Day Week Global. Well, I wonder what they want to do, right? So, anyway, advocates argue that a 4-day work week would increase worker productivity and by consequence, help alleviate the country's skilled labor shortage. Germany has long held a reputation for industriousness and efficiency, yet in recent years, productivity in Germany has fallen. In my opinion, maybe a 4-day work week would be good, but perhaps instead they should just shorten the amount of hours you have to work, especially now with people lacking the ability to concentrate for long periods of time, especially in the next generation. I can already imagine the amount of kids that are going to have ADD and they can't concentrate because of social media, TikTok, these 5-second videos. They probably work better in very short, very effective stints. And to be honest, I don't know about you, but when I was working, there would be very short stints when I would get a ton of work done. That's just how I am. I'm not a slow burner. I get stuff done really quick, all at once, and then I die. That's basically how I operate. But let's see what else this article says. What is productivity? This isn't necessarily because workers are lazy. At its core, productivity is measured by dividing economic output by hours worked. For the last few years, higher energy costs have hurt companies' outputs, leaving them in the country with a lower productivity score. If companies can maintain their current output with employees working fewer hours, this would naturally lead to higher productivity levels. But can they? Advocates argue yes. Employees who work for 4 days instead of 5 are more motivated and therefore more productive. They say this model could also potentially draw more people into the workforce by engaging those who aren't willing to work 5 days a week, helping to alleviate the lack of labor. You know, that's a really good point as well. Like when I was working full time, 5 days a week, like I'm not a kind of guy who, once he goes home, he just watches TV. You know, I'm constantly trying to do something else. So, you know, maybe if they had the 4-day work week, that leaves you one other day to work on your own personal projects, which could make you money and could give the German economy more money itself through tax, while still leaving the weekend to enjoy. You know, maybe that's actually the go. I would have loved that in my previous job because it was such a 9 to 5. It was in a sales job. It really left me only a few hours at the end of the day to get like a lot of business stuff done, a lot of stuff that I wanted to do, which was actually netting me more money than my actual job. Obviously, the job was more stable, but anyway, I reckon the 4-day work week could work very well, depending on the population, honestly, and the culture. Workers are less stressed with shorter week. The theory has already been put to the test outside of Germany. I was wondering that. Since 2019, 4DWG has been running pilot programs across the globe. From the UK and South Africa to Australia, Ireland, and the US, over 500 companies have participated in a trial run, and early results seem to favour a shorter work week. Well, that's fantastic. Looking at an experiment involving nearly 3,000 workers in the UK, researchers from Cambridge and Boston found that almost 40% of participants reported feeling less stressed after the experiment, that the number of resignations decreased by 57%. 26 billion worth of sick days. Sick days also decreased by 2/3. Yeah, I can imagine that. I'm sick. Recent data from the German health insurance company DAX showed the workers in Germany took 20 sick days on average last year. That means illness-related absences caused an overall real income loss of 26 billion, or 28 billion, in Germany in 2023. The German Association of Research-Based Pharmaceuticals Companies, VFA, said this would have pushed down economic output by 0.8 percentage points. Crucially, in the UK experiment, researchers also observed an average revenue increase of around 1.4 in 56 out of 61 participant companies. The majority expressed a desire to maintain the 4-day workweek beyond the test phase. Creative work could suffer, researchers say. Can it work in Germany too? Labour market expert Enzo Weber is so sure. He conducts research at the University of Regensburg and the Institute of Employment Research and has some problems with the results of the previous pilot programs. Only companies whose work is suited for a 4-day work week would apply for such an experiment, he told DW. The results therefore can't be taken as applying to the economy as a whole. Well, look, that's okay. If your job requires you to work 5 days, then so be it. But I mean, some people work jobs where they're like 10 days off, 1 week, 10 days on, 1 week off. So, it's all about what most jobs can handle, and then it's up to what the business wants to do for their employees. But obviously, a lot of people like the 4 days. I mean, honestly, who wouldn't? I guess someone who really enjoys their job, but maybe they have the option to work at the 5th day anyway for more money. That could be a thing. Weber also doubts the positive results because reduced working hours would likely lead to more concentrated work. Fewer hours would mean a hit to social and creative elements of work. Here, the consequences would be immediately felt, especially not in studies designed to only last 6 months. So there's less time hanging around the co-workers, so you're less creative. Model won't apply to many industries. Other skeptical points to the challenge of measuring productivity: reduced working hours could lead to structural changes that have a greater effect on productivity than employee engagement. Holger Schaefer, a researcher at Cologne's German Economic Institute, it says it's a fantasy to expect a 25% increase in productivity in exchange for a 20% reduction in working hours. Economist Bernd Fitzenberg of Germany's Institute for Employment Research, the IAB, says a 4-day week could mean higher costs for companies if spreading working hours over just 4 days is not offset by productivity gains. It becomes challenging in fields where services have to be provided in the here and now at fixed time for customers or people who are being cared for, he told DW, adding that a 4-day work week, therefore, be more difficult to implement in fields like nursing, security services, or transportation. If we were to rigidly implement such a regulation across all industries in the same way, it could hurt competitiveness. Despite the counter-arguments, 4-day workweek still holds an attraction, even for well-established industrial players. German trade union IG Metall has been advocating for shorter working hours for some time. In the steel industry, for example, only 35 hours per week are currently worked. Well, that sounds great to me. Who wouldn't want to work less? I do a lot on the side. I do this. I do this other thing. I do this other business. It's like sports betting, I suppose. I do a lot of crypto stuff. So I do a lot of stuff. And honestly, when it comes to a job, a job is a job. But when you're working on your own stuff, I feel I guess more fulfilled when you're kind of improving and doing your own things. But in my opinion, I feel like I would be more... like I said, I was even thinking this at my previous job. I would have been much more effective on 4 days or even on a shorter time frame, because especially a job which requires so much output, like a sales job, got to be switched on all the time. It does take a lot of energy, and you have a few hours in the day where you're probably just not hitting that kind of energy all the time. But yeah, I guess we'll see how this goes forward in the future. I'm an advocate for it. Sounds good to me. But what do you think? Leave a comment in the description. Tell me you think it's a good or bad idea. If you think it's a bad idea, you're probably a business owner and you need these employees to work their asses off, right? But I, for one, like it. But yeah, that's it for this one. Pretty interesting. Wonder how it's going to go. Like and subscribe. Do all that stuff. I'll see you in the next one.